My sugar daddy took me to a party. I got into a fight with his old flame. He yanked me out of the chaos, and with my hair a complete mess, I glared at him coldly. "So you're taking her side?" He said nothing. I pulled off my ring and flung it in his face. "I'm the one dumping you." I'd been Luke's canary for 3 years. He was rich, hot, and amazing in bed. He treated me well, too. His only rule? No kissing scenes on camera. I lost a few roles because of it. Got slammed online for being fake pure. But I didn't care. I'd always been well-behaved, never caused him any trouble. So I didn't expect the first time I did it'd be a big one. I beat up his just-returned-from-abroad ex. It all started when Luke asked me to go with him to a banquet. I never really fit in with his crowd of wealthy elites. I wanted to say no, but I hadn't seen him in 3 months due to filming, and I really missed him, so I went. Unsurprisingly, I ran into people I didn't want to see. I tried to avoid them, but they wouldn't let me go. I had just stepped out to get some air in the garden when Kristen and Jessica followed me. Kristen was Luke's childhood sweetheart. Her whole family had moved abroad for business a few years ago and just recently returned. Jessica was my nemesis, always buying fake news and trending smears about me. Turns out the two of them knew each other. I sat on the bench, not in the mood to move. Jessica stood with her arms crossed, her words dripping sarcasm. "Isn't this Tony's engagement party? Since when can just anyone show up?" Kristen glanced at me, her tone flat. "Didn't you drag me out here to talk? That's it?" Jessica gave her a flattering smile. "Don't be mad, Kristen. It's so stuffy inside, we just needed some air. We can talk while we walk." Kristen didn't respond and leaned casually against the fountain. "Kristen, are you and Luke getting engaged?" "Yeah, it's more or less set." "That's amazing. A perfect match, smart and beautiful. Some people really ought to take the hint and back off." Kristen said nothing. Jessica kept rambling, and I tuned her out. I turned to leave, but what she said next made me freeze. Some people don't just lack class, they come from a total mess of a family. That construction scandal back then, so many people lost their jobs. If you ask me, the guy breaking his leg was karma. I pivoted and walked straight up to her, slapping her twice across the face. Jessica clutched her cheek, glaring. "Jennifer, are you insane?" I sneered. "You like to talk behind my back. What? Thought I wouldn't hit you if you said it to my face." Kristen frowned. "Miss Jennifer, this is the Camel estate. Do you realize what you've done?" My eyes were sharp. "Miss Kristen, if someone talked about your parents like that, I hope you'd calmly think about the consequences too." Kristen stayed silent, but Jessica lunged at me, grabbing my hair. We started brawling. I don't even know how Kristen got dragged into it, but by the time Luke showed up, the three of us were going at it like a street fight. Luke stormed over, face dark, and pulled me out of the scuffle. I looked like a wreck. Kristen, on the other hand, barely had a hair out of place. I glared at him, taking her side. He frowned, silent. I yanked off my ring and threw it in his face. "I'm the one dumping you." I stormed out, holding back tears, and jumped into a cab that had just pulled up. But I couldn't hold it in. I broke down crying. I'd just wrapped filming yesterday and rushed over to see him, full of longing. We barely exchanged a few words, and I got humiliated, and he took her side. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing calls from Luke. I answered and struck first. "The house in South Bay is in my name. You've got a week to move out." Then I hung up and blocked him everywhere. "That bastard. We're done." I didn't go back to South Bay. I checked into a random hotel. After a shower, once I'd calmed down, it started to sink in. Something felt off. A canary kicking her sugar daddy out? I might be the first. I was getting way too bold with Luke, considering I used to be the timid one. I first met Luke at a cocktail party. My agent had forced me to go schmooze some big-name directors and investors. My family was doing okay, but at the time, my dad's construction project had collapsed. He broke his leg and used all our savings to compensate the workers. We ended up deep in debt. My parents were drowning in stress. I wanted to help, but got tricked by a talent scout into signing a predatory contract, no resources, and they kept sending me to entertain drunk creeps. I had no way out. So I faked being sick a few times until that one night when I had no choice. I walked into the VIP room. A bunch of middle-aged men sat inside. Luke, seated at the head, stood out like a fresh breeze. He got up just as I walked in. I panicked and chased after him. "Boss, can I go with you?" He looked down at me. He was a full head taller. Do I look like the easiest target? Truthfully, he looked like the worst target. But I didn't say that. I just shook my head and said sincerely, "You're the best-looking one." Luke let out a low chuckle. I know. I could tell he was losing patience, so I blurted out, "You seem like a good guy." He smirked. "Then you're dead wrong." Then he walked off, and my agent dragged me back inside. Back in the room, they kept pouring me drinks. Then one fat, greasy director put his hand on my thigh. I tried to fight back, knocking over a glass. He slapped me, cursed me for being ungrateful, and started tearing at my clothes. Desperate, I grabbed a broken glass shard and stabbed him in the leg. I thought I was going to jail for sure. Then the door burst open. Luke stood there. He glanced around the room, and the director who'd been screaming like a stuck pig fell dead silent. "Didn't you say you wanted to come with me? Then get over here." I dropped the shard and ran into his arms. Trembling so hard I could barely stand, he scooped me up and carried me out. Luke brought me to South Bay. That night, I had already showered but stayed hiding in the bathroom. I heard him outside, on the phone, clearly cleaning up the mess from earlier. When it got quiet, I finally stepped out, wrapped in a towel. He was lounging lazily on the sofa, a few buttons of his white shirt undone, his collarbones faintly visible. I walked over, took a deep breath, and dropped the towel. But I couldn't bring myself to look up. He stood, picked the towel up, and draped it back over me, chuckling. "You're young, but full of tricks." I turned beet red. I've never done this before. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. "Look at me." I gripped the towel tightly and looked up at him. His eyes were calm, with a trace of mischief. He was charming and dangerous. "You trust me that easily? What if I'm worse than them?" I panicked and quickly flattered him. "No way. Good-looking people are always kind." He laughed and pulled me close, kissing me. It was my first kiss. My head was spinning. He gently brushed his thumb over my lips and whispered seductively, "Go to bed. Can you sleep alone?" I nodded groggily. That's how you talk to people?" His tone rose at the end, a warning. I immediately wrapped my arms around him. "No, I need to sleep holding you." Satisfied, he tucked me into bed and went out to make a call. He came back half an hour later and held me as we fell asleep. For the next few days, I checked the news every day, but there was nothing about me online. A week later, my exploitative contract was terminated. Luke set me up with a new agency and manager. As for the director who tried to sleep with me, he vanished from the industry. Over these past 3 years, Luke gave me only the roles that suited me best. Step by step, I climbed from a D-list actress to a solid B-lister. My family's debts were fully paid off, and my parents opened a small shop back home. Everything seemed to be getting better. Only I knew the truth, it was getting worse. Because I was falling deeper and deeper for Luke. He was supposed to be my patron, but I couldn't help seeing him as something more. I don't even know when it started. Falling for Luke was just too easy. When I woke up the next morning, I found hundreds of missed calls, mostly from my agent, Emily. I had no idea what happened and quickly called her back. Her loud voice instantly shook off my sleepiness. "Oh my God, you finally picked up. Do you have any idea what kind of mess you caused?" "What the hell did you do last night? What happened?" I was still in a daze. I checked the trending topics while on the phone. Jennifer hits Jessica. Jennifer get out of showbiz. Jennifer quit the industry. Someone had filmed my fight with Jessica, but they'd edited out the beginning. The video only showed the moment I suddenly rushed up and slapped her. I closed my eyes and explained everything to Emily, including my breakup with Luke. After all, I no longer had anyone powerful backing me. Emily was silent for a while, then sighed. "Just rest for a few days. Don't look at the news. I'll figure something out." After we hung up, I re-watched the trending video. It was filmed from a very hidden angle. It looked premeditated. Kristen, who had been standing next to us, had been cropped out completely. The footage only showed Jessica and me. All the comments were one-sided. Jennifer has that mean and bitter look, no wonder she hit someone. Did she think no one would call her out? She's got a sugar daddy, obviously. Her acting sucks, but she's been landing great gigs for years. Insider tip, she's just a stand-in lover. The real one's back and she got dumped. Just reading those stand-in comments told me Jessica was behind the smear campaign again. But I wasn't angry. If people wanted to hate me, fine. That came with the job. Just don't drag my family into it. And the stand-in thing? Total BS. Back when Luke and I first got together, he treated me so well, I was almost scared. One time, after a dinner party, he came to pick me up. I got tipsy and asked him if I looked like someone he used to know. He pulled me into his arms, flicked my forehead, and said, "Getting too into your roles? A stand-in? I don't do that crap." Emboldened, I asked if there was anyone else. He snorted, "Do I look that bored?" Once I got that clear answer, I was happy for a long time. Maybe Luke didn't really love me. Maybe I was just a novelty, or he was too lazy to replace me. Either way, it didn't matter. At least while we were together, there was no one else. I could live without being loved, without being chosen, but I couldn't give up the last shred of dignity. Because of the sudden wave of negative press, a variety show appearance I'd lined up got canceled. These days, I just stayed holed up in the hotel, too afraid to go out. I had good reason 2 years ago. I played a crazed villain, a gorgeous psycho. I nailed the role so well, people online said I wasn't even acting. I didn't expect someone to confuse the character with the actress. When I was recovering from a leg injury, someone actually threw a wasp's nest at me, trying to ruin my face. Thank God Luke showed up in time. He lit his own suit on fire to drive them away. That suit had cost tens of thousands. I shook my head. Why was I thinking about him again? I checked my phone, missed calls, WeChat messages. All my friends offering support. But none from Luke. That's when it hit me. I'd blocked him. All his contacts. I was being petty, I knew. I tossed my phone aside. With his connections, if he really wanted to reach me, he could. He just didn't care. Sitting by the window, I felt torn and ridiculous. I knew we were impossible, yet I still held on to hope. Deep down, I kept feeling like maybe, just maybe, he liked me too. After all, on Lunar New Year's Eve, he braved wind and snow to be with me. Our first New Year together, I didn't go home because of work. I stayed at South Bay. I was half asleep when I heard the door open and jumped up, grabbing a desk lamp as I crept to the door. Luke stood at the entryway, snow still clinging to his shoulders. He saw the lamp in my hand and raised an eyebrow. "Is this how you welcome someone on New Year's Eve?" I dropped the lamp and jumped into his arms. I wanted to ask why he suddenly came, but figured he didn't want to explain. So I changed my words. "How come every time I miss you, you show up?" He carried me toward the bedroom and whispered in my ear, "Let me see exactly where you missed me." The wind howled outside, but inside it was warm and hazy. When he finished showering, I was already half asleep. In my daze, he tucked a red envelope under my pillow and kissed my forehead. "Jennifer, Happy New Year." It was the first New Year I spent without my parents, but I wasn't alone. I stayed in the hotel for 3 days. I was about to go out and buy some things when Emily's message stopped me cold. The news about me hitting Jessica kept spreading, and then more scandals broke. That director I stabbed came out and accused me, said I tried to sleep with him for roles, then dumped him for a richer patron. He didn't dare name who that patron was, only claimed he'd been blacklisted and sidelined for years. He even produced a bunch of so-called evidence, half true, half fake. Emily was overwhelmed. This time, she couldn't suppress the news. "Jennifer, seriously, can't you just reach out to Mr. Luke, apologize? It's nothing for him to handle this." I was silent, my nose stinging. I'd faced rumors before, but they were always quashed before they spread. This time, the fire only grew. I whispered, "He won't help me anymore. He's getting engaged." Me cutting him off was exactly what he wanted. Emily sighed. "If this doesn't get resolved positively, you might not have any work for a long time." "It's fine, Emily. I'll post a clarification later." People can believe what they want. I'm done jumping through hoops to prove myself. Thank you for everything these past few years. I'm sorry I dragged you into this. Emily tried to comfort me, said she'd do her best to figure something out, but I knew it was tough. I glanced at the news. Everyone was tearing me apart. Why hasn't this scandalous actress been blacklisted yet? So disgusting. Told you she was riding on a sugar daddy. With acting that terrible? How else would she get this far? Why's the sugar daddy ignoring her now? Probably got tired of her. Seriously, who the hell is this sugar daddy? Must be blind to fall for her. Didn't they say he had a true love already? Is she the side chick? And isn't her dad some shady contractor? Like father, like daughter. A few tried to defend me, but they were quickly drowned out by the tide of hate. I logged into Weibo and started typing. Hi everyone. This is Jennifer. I'm sorry to take up public space with personal issues, but things have spiraled to this point, and I hope people can still distinguish the truth. First, there's nothing between me and director Carlos. I did not try to seduce him. Back when I first entered the industry, naive and clueless, I got tricked into signing an exploitative contract. My agent forced me to attend drinking parties. Director Carlos tried to sleep with me. I stabbed him in the thigh with a piece of glass, prepared to go to jail if necessary. That's how I got away. When he failed with me, he moved on to other young girls just entering the industry. I don't know how many he hurt, but I saved two. I'm not sharing this for sympathy, just so people can recognize the trash among us. To the girls I helped, you don't need to speak up for me. This filth isn't worth reliving. Secondly, aim all your hatred at me, leave my family out of it. They haven't done anything to you. And if your mouth can't stay clean, I sincerely hope everything you say bounces back onto you. Lastly, I've never been a side chick, never been a stand-in. We've broken up now, thank you for reading. I posted the statement, carefully avoiding anything too explosive. Then I shut off my phone and slumped against the window seat. I hadn't done anything wrong, yet I felt utterly exhausted. I fell asleep without realizing it and had a dream. It was during the early days of my rising career. Emily had landed me a hit movie. I was just a supporting role, but audiences loved me. Riding that wave, she booked me for variety shows and ads. At a dinner with investors, I ran into an old acquaintance, director Carlos. He wasn't directing anymore, he'd become a producer, even changed his name. That night, I passed by his private room just as a young girl ran out, clothes disheveled. I stepped in front of her and raised my phone at him. She said there was another girl still inside. I got them both out. He knew I had Luke behind me and didn't dare touch me. I knew it might cause trouble for Luke. If he chose to leave me alone afterward, I'd be in deep shit. But I didn't have time to think. If I hadn't seen it, fine. But I did, and to ignore it would haunt me for the rest of my life. Those two girls never made the news. They both left the industry. I later told Luke what happened, expecting a scolding, but he just smiled and said I was growing a spine. The only thing he warned me about was not doing it alone next time because even a cornered dog will bite. I was scared, sure, but also strangely proud. That quiet strength came from Luke. Back when I first entered the industry, no fame, no backing, not many people knew about my connection with Luke. I often got pushed around on set. I didn't want trouble. Figured a few harsh words wouldn't kill me. One time, Luke came to visit and overheard someone on the crew mouthing off about me. He brought the guy in front of me and told me to cuss him out. At first, I couldn't even speak. Luke started for me, and I followed his lead one line after another, growing more fired up with each word. In the end, Luke had to drag me away. That day, he looked at me with a smile. What? Gonna swallow all that anger and grow a tumor in secret? I'm not around every day. If anyone insults or bullies you, fight back. And if you can't, come tell me. I've never treated you badly. Why are you out here taking crap from others? That day, Luke's face was clear and bright, his eyes shining like stars. It felt like something inside me tore open, and all my love spilled out. My thoughts snapped back. I'd been woken by a call from Emily. My face was wet with tears. I wiped it off and answered. Her voice was practically shaking with excitement. Jennifer, sweetheart, I think you seriously misunderstood your relationship with Luke. I was confused. You haven't gone online yet, have you? Go check Weibo. Luke just jumped in to roast the haters himself. He's so hot I could die. If he proposes to you, you better say yes, I swear. I'll go full vegetarian for life, just let the two of you be happy. She hung up before I could respond. I opened Weibo, dumbfounded. The trending topics had completely flipped. Sugar Daddy Luke roasts. Trolls, we all want Luke to yell at us, Luke is too in love. And at the top of my post's comments was Luke's reply verified under the Dawson Group account. You've got time to write a mini essay, but no time to take me off your block list? Breakup? Jennifer, you've got guts. That one comment made my spine go stiff. I could practically see Luke gritting his teeth. I scrolled through more trending posts. Luke had clapped back at trolls over and over, each time more savage. Troll. She's a total slut. She even blocked Luke. Luke. Jealous I didn't block you instead? Troll. El Mao. Trying to seduce and then accuse others of harassment. Look at yourself. Luke. Sure, but let me see what you look like first. Troll. Even if the casting couch stuff's true, didn't she also beat up Jessica and bully her? Luke. I told her to hit her. Got a problem with that? Take it up with me. Troll. As if they broke up, he was just using her. You think he'd actually marry her? Luke. Who else would I marry you? Troll. This account's too active. Must be bots Jennifer hired. Luke. Green Summit Tower. Give your username to the front desk. Let's chat in my office. Troll. I don't care, Jennifer's a skank, trash, disgusting. Luke. At Assistant Lynn. You've got 10 minutes to find out everything about him. Luke completely stirred the pot. The trolls were left speechless. It ended in a glorious silence, like a courtroom where no one dared speak. And then came the shippers, celebrating like it was New Year's. Luke protecting his woman hotter than hot. Everyone who laughed at Jennifer, dropped dead. Luke, I'm right here. Who dares insult my wife? Oh my God. Their baby would be absurdly good-looking. I was stunned reading it all. I smiled a little without meaning to. Then a new notification popped up. Open the door. I froze, tossed my phone aside, and peeked through the peephole. Luke was standing outside. My heart pounded. I opened the door. He looked down at me, ridiculously handsome. I tried to speak, but tears started falling uncontrollably. I just stood there, eyes full of tears, staring at him. He paused for a moment, then gently reached up to wipe my tears, though his words were far from gentle. I haven't even said anything yet, and you're already crying? You really mastered the art of emotional blackmail, huh? He pulled me inside and sat down on the couch. I peeked at him, feeling secretly happy, but kept my tone tough. Why are you here? He tossed his suit jacket aside and rolled up his sleeves. Let's talk about that whole taking sides thing first. The moment he brought it up, I got mad again and scooted further from him, muttering, You did take her side. What's there to talk about? He sneered. Sure, I took sides. And when have I ever not taken yours? You were so caught up in the fight. Jessica's sharp nails were about to scratch your face off, and you didn't even notice. If I hadn't pulled you out, your face would have been ruined. You throw a tantrum over a single pimple if your face got scratched up. Wouldn't you cry hard enough to flood the house? I froze. That was the reason? I suddenly felt guilty but still didn't want to back down. Then why didn't you say so at the time? Luke scoffed again. Was it me not saying or you not listening? By the time I chased after you, you'd vanished. Yet when it comes to picking fights with me, you're real quick to show up. And telling me to move out? Jennifer, you're the first person to dump her sugar daddy mid-fight and kick him out. I was losing ground, but still argued with my chin raised. Well, you didn't come looking for me these past few days. When I was getting attacked online, you didn't step in either. You were too busy getting engaged, right? What are you doing here now? I'm not gonna be a homewrecker. He yanked me toward him, pinching my cheeks, his eyes dark. Who told you I was getting engaged? Were the gifts I gave you cheap? Did the resources I provided fall short? What made you think I'd trade my marriage for business? That's what people were saying. You'll believe anyone but me. You itching for a beating? I shrank back and broke free of his grip. Then tell me, where have you been these past few days? He looked at me and sighed. I was on a business trip to the USS. A project collapsed, and I had to go take over. At first, I didn't step in because I knew Jessica had latched on to Director Yang. I was waiting for her to expose everything at once. I also stationed bodyguards near the hotel in case any trolls came looking for trouble. What else do you want to know? Go ahead, ask everything at once. I finally asked the one question buried deepest in my heart. Will you marry me? Or do you just want me to stay your little canary forever? Luke went silent. My heart sank. Then he said, are those two things mutually exclusive? If you want to stay, stay. If you want to go, go. When have I ever stopped you? I lowered my eyes. But I picked out matching rings for us. And you never wore yours. Luke picked up the suit jacket he'd tossed aside and pulled 2 matching rings from the inside breast pocket. I had spotted them during my red carpet trip, handmade by an old woman on the street. Not branded or expensive, but unique. I liked them and bought the pair. I wore mine often, but he'd never worn his. I didn't wear it because you didn't want to go public. These rings are too recognizable, so I kept them in my jacket pocket every day. He walked over and stood in front of me, eyes deep and unwavering. I didn't know if you wanted marriage. That's why I tried hinting at it, took you to that engagement party, just to see your reaction. If you're not ready, we can wait a couple of years. But you put all your temper into attacking me. Aren't you super polite to others? How come I'm the only one you bite at? You play favorites too? His voice dropped lower. I looked up and met his gaze. His eyes were full of heated affection. He pulled me into his arms and gently patted my back. Okay, that's enough. Be good. I hugged him back, softly replying, It was hard to explain what I felt inside, only that after years of being loved too much, possessiveness had grown out of that love. I couldn't handle even the slightest sign he might favor someone else. Not even once. I admit I got spoiled by his affection. The next morning, Emily messaged me. Not only was my variety show slot back on, but I also had several new business deals lined up. I peeked at the trending topics. Everyone was dying to know what happened after. Open the door. The PR team steered the attention toward our couple dynamic. No response yet to the old scandals. They were probably waiting for the right moment. Luke and I went back to South Bay together, holding hands in broad daylight. I used to worry about appearances, but now there was no need. People kept taking pictures along the way, but it all felt friendly. Luke didn't say much, and I thought yesterday's drama was behind us until we got home and got hit with a surprise attack. All of Luke's stuff was gone. Clothes, watches, toiletries, everything. At first, I thought we'd been robbed. I even wondered why they only stole his stuff and not mine. Luke looked at me with a half smile. Didn't you tell me to move out within a week? I wouldn't dare disobey. What if my things ended up on the sidewalk? I mean, I never paid rent, and I don't have the deed. What right do I have to stay in a fancy villa like this? The sarcasm in his voice made me want to disappear. He had moved out just in case I didn't want him back. Now this whole scene was to mess with me. I knew I was in the wrong, so I played along and tugged on his sleeve, asking him to move back. That same afternoon, all his things were restored. I even helped organize his ties by color like a little bootlicker. Luke headed to the office while I stayed home, binge-watching variety shows to prep for my guest spot. That's when I got a call from Kristen inviting me to dinner. With all the chaos surrounding me lately, Kristen showing up at South Bay herself to pick me up caught me off guard. I felt flattered. Luke said you've been stalked by trolls before, better safe than sorry. Her sudden change in attitude was too drastic. I couldn't tell what she was up to. At dinner, she raised her glass to toast me. Miss Jennifer, I used to believe some nasty rumors and misunderstood you. I know I caused you trouble and pain. Tonight, I want to sincerely apologize. I understood then Jessica must have badmouthed me to her, which shaped Kristen's opinion. I'm not one to hold grudges. I clinked glasses with her. Over dinner, I found Kristen actually quite easy to get along with. Straightforward, candid, very much my vibe. I asked her why she changed her mind about me. She said she'd read through all the hate comments lately. Most were baseless, clearly manipulated. Especially the ones saying Luke saw me as Kristen's stand-in. Kristen laughed at that. She'd grown up with Luke and the Camel brothers. Their parents were close too. But she and Luke only had a revolutionary friendship. Their parents had once tried to arrange a marriage, but Kristen wasn't in love with anyone. She was career-focused and didn't care much about marriage. If it helped her professionally, great, so she didn't object. She had originally assumed Luke felt the same as she did, but once she realized he had no intention of getting engaged, she decisively gave up on the idea. On top of that, when she visited Jessica on set recently, she saw how diva-like Jessica behaved, while many crew members, when talking about the recent news, were all standing up for me, saying I was friendly and got along well with everyone. That's when she began to feel maybe things weren't so black and white. I felt a quiet sense of gratitude. Kindness truly does come back around. After dinner, Kristen wanted to call a driver, but we unexpectedly ran into Luke and the two Kamel brothers. They had just finished eating, too. I apologized to Tony for the fight at his engagement party. It really was inappropriate. He nodded mildly and told me not to worry, then left after a few polite words. Kyle invited us to his bar, though his eyes kept locking onto Kristen. Sensing the weird tension between them, I said loudly, "Kristen's had a bit to drink. Maybe she should skip it tonight. Let's get her a driver." Kyle immediately stepped in. "I'll take her." I didn't bother with their back and forth and dragged Luke away first. On the way back, I asked, "Are those two a thing?" Luke toyed with my fingers and said, "Can you maybe spend more energy thinking about me? They'll figure it out on their own, not your problem." I looked at him and asked, "Don't you ever get tired of me?" He froze for a second, raised the back seat divider, then pulled me into his lap, his voice dangerously teasing. "So you're the one who's tired of me? Jennifer, you really are asking for it." I hooked my arms around his neck, smiling sweetly. "Never tired. Not even for a lifetime." He didn't say a word in the car, just gave a casual smile, but I cried and screamed all night in the bedroom. 3 days later, the PR team officially cleared up all the past scandals. Each point was backed by clear evidence. Meanwhile, a series of shocking scandals broke out about Jessica. She was being kept, colluding with director Carlos, and had even helped recruit many young girls into the casting couch pipeline. The proof was solid and well organized. Jessica was done for. I watched the full video of the fight for the first time and realized Kristen really got the worst of it. I had never known how she got dragged in until I saw that Jessica had yanked her into it and she took several slaps meant for me. I texted her while laughing and apologizing. Public opinion flipped again. People who had trashed me were now flooding me with apologies. I couldn't muster much interest. But as I scrolled, I came across a photo. It was me in a thin costume, suspended on wires, and Luke standing nearby with a down jacket in hand, waiting for me with a soft look in his eyes. The photo was a little blurry, clearly taken long ago. I still looked pretty green in it. The caption read, "I'm crying, turns out Luke's been head over heels for her since 2 years ago." I remembered immediately it was half a year after my debut. We were shooting outdoors in freezing weather, with wind machines for that flowy look. After a few days of filming, I came down with a fever and called Luke in a daze. He came over that night. The next day, I wasn't scheduled to shoot, so he stayed and took care of me all day. Once I felt better, there were still outdoor scenes left. As a rookie, I didn't want to slow things down. Luke didn't say much, just waited on the sidelines every day with a coat in hand. After each take, he'd wrap me in the jacket and his arms. He stayed for 3 days, only leaving once my outdoor scenes were done. That winter was bitterly cold, but all I remembered was the warmth of his embrace. I stared at the photo, smiling like an idiot, and quietly saved it. The media frenzy gradually died down, and things began returning to normal. Work resumed. Up next was filming a popular outdoor variety show. While I was getting my makeup done, the fire alarm suddenly blared backstage. Smoke started spreading, and the area descended into chaos. Amid the pushing and shoving, someone pulled me into a small storage room. It was Jessica. She wore a hoodie, looked haggard, and had a bruise at the corner of her mouth. I subtly checked her hands. She wasn't holding anything. It seemed she just wanted to talk. "Jennifer, you must feel great, huh? Career, fame, love, it's all going your way." She blocked the door. I leaned against a box, keeping my distance. "Not really. Work, life, it's just what it is." Jessica suddenly laughed, then laughed so hard she cried. You probably don't remember me. We were part of the same group sent to entertain those men. But you got taken away by Luke, and I stayed in that room forever. Sometimes I wonder, if he had chosen me, would everything have been different? Do you know how jealous I am of you? Why do you get everything while I get nothing? I only wanted enough to pay for my brother's medicine. I was dazed. I really didn't remember Jessica. There were several girls in that room that night, and I hadn't seen their faces clearly. I looked at her. How's your brother now? Jessica lifted her chin and wiped away her tears. Dead. He died before I could make it big. I stared out the window and sighed. I was luckier than you, that's true. Without Luke, I wouldn't have gotten this far, might not have even made it to B-list. But one thing I do know, if I was drowning, I'd never pull someone else down with me. Jessica fell silent, maybe thinking of all the girls she had lured into that dark little room, trapped forever. What do you know? If I hadn't done it, I would have been thrown away ages ago. Who knows where I'd have ended up? I didn't reply, quietly reaching for the door. Jessica saw but didn't stop me. I opened it and heard her sigh behind me. People's fates. They're never the same. I paused and looked back. She tossed a sealed envelope at my feet. Wind from the window caught her hair. Her eyes were red, but her smile was wild. Jennifer, I really hate you, but you're the only one who'd help me. See? Life is just that absurd. I don't regret it. I won't apologize. I just hope all those monsters rot in hell. With that, she stepped onto the box and jumped. In my daze, I was pulled into a warm embrace. I didn't even know why I was crying, but the tears wouldn't stop. Jessica was dead. The envelope she left behind contained a long list of names, people involved in the sex trafficking ring over the years. From predatory contracts to forced escorting, it was a complete system. I called the police and released the list publicly. The signature at the end was Jessica's. The incident drew major public attention. Police launched an official investigation, and those involved were dealt with accordingly. Some people began to mourn Jessica. Others remained skeptical. I didn't follow it any further. I hadn't lived her pain and couldn't condone her actions, but I hoped the girls trapped in that little room that night would someday live and work freely. Half a year later, I won Best Actress. I never expected the presenter would be Luke. The whole venue erupted when he walked on stage. Not just fans, even the actors and hosts were shipping us. He handed me the trophy, eyes twinkling. Congratulations, Miss Jennifer. Wishing you a long and successful career. Another wave of cheers roared through the crowd. I accepted the trophy, eyes stinging. I took a few seconds before giving my speech. I'd gone on stage with another male actor, and as I stepped down, he reflexively reached out to help me. Luke gave him a single look, and the guy's eyes went wide. He instantly pulled his hand back and hurried away. I walked over to Luke and left with him. Smiling, I teased, "Why'd you scare him like that?" Luke pulled me close, calm as ever. Scare him? I just noticed his hands were pretty fair. As we sat down, I peeked at the trending page. Sure enough, Weibo was on fire again. The clip of that male actor recoiling had been made into a GIF and was being shared everywhere. Some sharp-eyed fans noticed my ring wasn't sponsored by any brand and started speculating that Luke had already proposed. Truth was, we were already married. One morning last week, I woke up and found a ring on my finger. It wasn't the matching set I had picked before. I asked him why he didn't use those after all. They were one of a kind. He was putting on his watch as he said, "This one's one of a kind too. Don't like it?" I actually loved it but deliberately teased him. "If I don't like it, can we exchange it?" He chuckled and pinched my waist. "If you grow 10 more fingers today, I'll put a ring on every single one." Little money grubber. I had an event that day, so we delayed it, went to get our marriage license first thing the next morning. The awards show ended. Luke draped his coat over my shoulders, eyes full of warmth. "Let's go home, Mrs. Luke.